coaching. We use drills to teach or correct a specific skill, and then for reinforcing and perfecting that skill. US Rowing asked 8 very successful coaches if they would share some drills that they feel are beneficial to their teams. This was filmed in the fall when most of the crews had been on the water for a short period of time, a perfect time to focus on skills. The coaches stress the importance of explaining the drills before going out on the water, and to describe what the drill emphasizes. Poorly executed drills, due to the lack of explanation by the coach or focus of the athletes, can lead to bad habits. The main movie, the coaches explain the drills while their teams perform them. In the coaches ride-along section, we have included longer clips of all the coaches working with their teams.
The pair add-in, we sort of joke around, that's the best darn drill in the world. And I think that's great for a number of reasons. One, because you can really, the main reason we do it is focus on the connection. When the boat's going, it's only a pair, it's really easy to feel the connection. And as pairs add in, it gets increasingly harder to feel the connection. And I think it's a great opportunity, to stop and okay, someone to really focus on something, with that pair that starts, okay, here's what I need to be doing, and they can really be focused for that period of time. And I think it's a good way for the coach to talk to other rowers, like, hey, when you add in, think about this. When you add, now you joined in, it sort of calms the whole practice down, and you can focus on one pair and a little bit more of a conversation between the crews. Yes, really good feel that connection. Move the boat in front of the pin. Move the boat from in front of the pin. As pairs that in, it's okay for the stroke rate to come up a bit. As pairs in, it's okay for the stroke rate to come up, but let's go no higher than 17. And Krista, let's go all 8. And Robin, let's go all 8. Starting with the legs, feel the connection with the legs, and thrust through mid-drive. And thrust through mid-drive. And thrust through mid-drive. Brownie, that's getting really good. Okay, eyes closed. I think eyes closed is really good and really important for a few reasons. I mean, one thing that I think that we do a lot about is that we don't necessarily coach the motion more than we coach the feeling more than the motion. Instead of just saying, okay, do this with your back and do this with your shoulders, and what it should look like, oftentimes is what it should feel like. And the eyes closed, I think, is really good from an individual standpoint, because an individual standpoint, feel the connection with the blade, feel the connection, feel the bend of the oar, and then from a crew standpoint, feel the swing, feel the rhythm within the crew. So I think, rowing the eyes closed forces that a lot more. And of course, the crew needs to be fairly relaxed when they're doing it. If they're really tense rowing eyes closed, it sort of defeats the purpose. The pauses. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of pause drills a few years ago. Meaning, 10 years ago or so. And we started doing more and more pause drills probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And one of the reasons for that, well, the reason I wasn't a big fan of it, because we talk about being very drive oriented, and everything is focused on moving the boat. So I think I got too focused on just doing the drive, and of course, you need to have good recovery. Not necessarily let the boat run out, although that's important, but to set yourself up for having that good drive. So oftentimes, the pause where the pause the body's over, and the half slide pause, it's mainly, the reason we do it is mainly to set yourselves up for a good, strong position in the catch. And like you might have noticed, you say bring your stomach forward into the catch, and it's not just a matter of getting your body over, but your stomach forward into the catch so you can turn the good body position into a good, strong, well-connected leg drive, or good, strong, well-connected, get the wake from rolling on through, the good, strong, well-connected mid-drive.
The first drill is a 3-pause drill. We pause with arms away, we pause at body angle, and then we pause at half slide. And then we take a stroke in between that pause stroke to rehearse what we have just practiced on the drill. And then in timed intervals, usually a minute, we then drop one of the pauses and we start from the catch side of the stroke and we drop half slide, then we drop body angle, and then we drop the arms away, so then we're rowing continuously. The goal there is to reinforce the idea that the hands bring the shoulders over the thighs. When the hands pass the shins, the knees release quietly, and the body angle is established by half slide and then transported down the slide and into the catch all in one motion. So we do that by 6s so that the boat is keeled, and we usually do 3 or 4 minutes per 6 in this drill. The next drill is a release drill. I refer to the end of the stroke closest to the body as the release. My finish point is as the knees begin to come up. That's the end of one stroke and the beginning of the next. And here we will only use about a quarter slide, and we will practice what happens at the release of the stroke. And so we pause at the release. The oar comes to a square oared position with the outside hand slightly turned inboard toward the collar or the other hand, and the outside arm relaxed. The fingers of the outside hand are pointing toward the blade, and at that point the coxswain will say row, and the person rowing will then relax the inside thumb and allow the hand to move forward as the fingers come back toward the body. So the hand starts on top of the oar handle, the palm of the hand starts on top at the release point, and as the person begins the recovery, the fingers then assume that position. And we'll go first to quarter feather, then after an interval of about a minute, we'll go pause with full feather, and then we'll drop the pause and go continuous rowing to reinforce that activity of squaring out and then feathering with the hands moving to the stern and the blade moving to the bow. So it's square out, feather to the bow. The next drill is a drill that we've inherited from Cal, Berkeley, and it is a balance drill. It's referred to, for reasons beyond me, the dead mosquito drill. And what it is a segment of the boat will gunnel their oar handles while another segment of the boat is doing the rowing, and then those two segments alternate. So in our case, we start off with stern 4 rowing, and then we go, and bow 4 is gunneling the handles. Then we go to bow 4 rowing, stern 4 gunneling the handles, and then the coxswain calls for all 8 to row, and we row a certain number of strokes with all 8 rowing, and then we start the process again. The final drill that we do is a takeoff on build a pair and DMD, or dead mosquito drill, and that we refer to as the Reiki drill. It's named after the 6th man of our crew from last year, and his suggestion is that we do build a pair and dead mosquito at the same time. So for a pair rowing, there are 6 men gunneling the oar handle, and then every certain number of strokes, and in today's case we're going to go 5 strokes per pair. After, we'll say stern pairs rowing with bow 6 gunneling, then it'll be 5 and 6 along with stern pair, and they will row 5 strokes, and then 3 and 4 join in, and then bow pair join in. So as the boat picks up speed, it becomes easier and easier to balance because more men are rowing and less people are gunneling the handle. And hopefully through those last 2 drills, when we move to all 8 rowing, our boys are more sensitive to the balance of the boat. They've learned to pull to us the same height, keeping the boat keeled because the blades are in the water for the same amount of time, and they're also supporting their side, squaring the oar out so there's no feathering to the body, there's no dropping of the outside wrist, losing pressure and feathering on the water, and then this way we square out, move the handle to the move the handle to the stern, and then we feather as we move to the stern. So it's square out, feather away. So those are the 4 drills that we'll be doing today.
That's it. This is the J drill. This is the J drill. Okay, good. Now break the knees and flow out to the shins. There we go. Good. Brendan, let's make sure the outside elbow is aiming at the oarlock behind you. In your case, the imaginary oarlock. There you go. Good. Out to the ankles now, out to the toes. Very good. Okay, bow pair now. Wayne, I'll stern pair. Bow pair. Just the hands. Good work. Good work. Okay. That's it. Now break the knees, relax the knees. Let the body weight flow. There you go. The weight's on the back of the seat right now. It's on the back of the seat. That's it. Now we're going to come out to the toes. The weight goes from the back of the seat to the front of the seat. From the bow side of the seat to the stern side of the seat. That's it. Feel your body pivot. Feel your weight shift on the seat. Okay, now let's see if we can do this drill all 4. Let's see if you can do it. Okay, good. Hand heights aren't quite the same. Okay, John. Now come out to the toes and pause. Okay, now take a stroke and go continuously to the other 4. Okay, good. Good, that's it. Take it next to the other boat and then weigh it up. This is a mid-thigh pause, halfway between the body and the knees. Well, the body is still in bow. It's under control. You can check the direction of the hands. You can tell how relaxed they are. Are the wrists down below the handle, for instance? Have they relaxed the hands yet? Are they guiding the handle in the right direction that you need? That is down in rough water, or down if you like to get the blade well clear. Their bodies are still under control. Toe pause is the half slide. Shins are 45 degrees. Handle is at the toes. You can either get the blade squared from there. You can hold the body steady from there. and work on closing the gap between the heels and the seat. You can check the shoulders to make sure they're relaxed. You can check the balance. It's one position where you can check nearly everything. And the hands. Are the hands properly positioned on the handle? Are they relaxed? That sort of thing. Are you going to square properly? Well, we're extending the fingertips so that you can feel the pressure on the top of the handle. How much weight does it take to hold the handle level? By extending the fingertips, you're removing the possibility of squeezing the handle on the recovery. And so they have to come forward, and then they have to take the weight off the top of the handle to place the blade. They do that, they take the weight off the top and they curl their fingers at the same time. You're just trying to get the hands relaxed some. You could see from the stroke man's hand when we looked at him that the wrist was way down and there was a lot of tension. So this is just the first step in getting them to realize how little weight there is actually in the hands to keep the hands level. And recover with the karate chop position so that they feel how little weight it takes to balance the handle. Okay? And if they have to remove the weight from the handle, they have to make the hands lighter to put the blade in the water.
We're going to do 3 or 4 drills today on the water. And I'm going to start out with placement drill. Typically I like to do this with either groups of 4s or 6s so that the boat's nice and stable. So I have 2 people or 4 people setting the boat up as we work on placing the oar. The basic reason for this drill is to work on the motion out of bow so that it's done together. Most importantly, placement, and that the blade going to the water as part of the recovery rather than rowing it in. And I guess the third element to the drill would be to feel connection right at the front end. So even though you're not pulling, blade's going in at full extension, and there's the blade is grabbing the water. There's a little pressure on the face of the blade. From the placement drills, we'll go on to rusties. And basically, with a rusty, the rowers take a stroke through. And I'd still keep it probably groups of 4s or 6s, so there's stability in the boat. They'll go up, place the blade as part of the recovery. Nice press, pry, and then releasing together. So you'll place, press, pry, follow through. Good. This allows the athlete to feel connection, a little bit of suspension, and also to get a sense of send. And then the athlete will pause at body over. Coxswain will call it, we'll go back to the finish, and we'll repeat the same sequence. 1 stroke at a time to begin with, and then as they progress and get better, we can add strokes between the pauses. Finish. Keep a little pressure on the footboards through the finish. Send it. That was better. Okay, unweight the handle carry as you approach the catch. So still a bit of a dive, and you end up skying. And then we'll move on to adding in pairs. And the adding in pairs sequence is something that I really like to do early in the fall. Boat's nice and stable. It's moving slowly by pairs. And then as the pairs add in, the boat increases speed, and I'd like the original pair to feel the same resistance by 4s, by 6s, all 8 that they felt when they're rowing by pairs. So again, we're working on placement, connection, suspension, and send, and adding acceleration as people add in the boat. Eventually working to all 8, and then dropping back down again to the next pair and building back up. About stern pair. And the boat slows down. Everything's relative to the speed of the boat. So patient placement. So those are the drills that we're going to cover, and if I have time, I might do a little bit of outside arm only, just to work on that hang and suspension through the outside arm and outside, feeling hang through the outside of the body. You'll feel a little rotation to your work. Outside arm only, you're just following the arc of the handle as you approach catch. Everyone's trying to drop that blade in as part of the recovery.
First drill is the catch drill, and the name of the game of the catch drill is to try and get the blade loaded up as quickly as possible. We're just going the first initial impulse off the footboards. How fast can we get the heels on the boards? How fast can we start the boat, all 8 together? Getting the blade working against the pressure of the water. How quickly can we get the blade loaded up is essentially the name of the game there. How quick can you get that pressure on the face of the blade, guys? How quick can you get the front end loaded up? All right, 2 more good ones. All right, relax and get your point there, Alice. Second drill we did was called the finish drill. And the finish drill is a drill that tries to maintain pressure all the way through the stroke. It tries to break the stroke down to the last little bit, the last 6 inches we call it, last 6 inches of the drive. And we're trying to keep the pressure built up on the face of the blade as we carry that pressure all the way to the body. And then come around again to the 1/3 slide position or so. We kind of come off the drill and we come around to get the body weight moving back towards the stern of the boat. The third drill we did was a 6-stroke builder, and those help the athlete feel what the boat's doing below them. We go all the way from no pressure, which is simply the blade, we call it being in gear, like an automatic transmission, right in drive. We go from no pressure all the way to full pressure, and full pressure is full pressure. And what they do is we have you go 6 strokes no pressure, 6 strokes build to half pressure, 6 strokes at half pressure, 6 strokes build to full, 6 strokes full. And what that does is that enables the athlete to dissect each stroke. I want them to really concentrate hard on each stroke as they build throughout that 30 and really feel what the boat does with their input. Consistent pressure all the way to the body, guys. Get the handles home. Let's go. Start the boat. Start the boat. We do a lot of pause drills at Lake Washington. I like to pause at what I call 1/3 slide, just breaking the knees on the recovery. And what that does is that ensures the body angle is set. By 1/3 slide, I want all my athletes to have all of their body angle, all of their body preparation done as they travel to the stern of the boat. We pause at 1/3 slide to guarantee and to ensure that the body angle is set. And then all they have to do after that pause is just roll to the stern, lift the hands, and go. There's no need for late motion. They've gotten all their reach already. They've held the legs down. They've squeezed the finish. They've come around. They've held the legs down. They've come around, and they're ready to go. All they've got to do is lift the hands.
Basically, the reason we do this drill is 0-100% pressure. First of all, it's just for a nice, light catch to give these guys the idea that they don't need to stab the blade in. Mainly they come up, they take a little bit of weight off the handle, they let the blade basically drop in. It finds its own depth. And we do other drills that shows them where they can let go of their hands and the blade will actually row in the boat without them pulling any pressure at all. It'll find its own depth. So that works on the front end, and as we go through the stroke, we go from 0 to 100% pressure to work on the back end of the stroke. To kind of finish up with a nice strong draw into the underneath the rib cage, nice and strong, to work on the finishes, so that number one is that they they don't dump the finish, and number two, that they concentrate on the abs and that core muscle group. It's going to carry them through and finish up the stroke.
Okay, we're going to roll into the chop drill right now, and basically it's a good drill just for the timing of the boat, the set of the boat, and it reinforces what we just talked about with the 0-100% pressure. As far as just real light with the blade into the water, just taking some weight off the handle, and the same thing at the release. It shows the guys at the release they don't need to jam the hands down into the lap. It's real light to release the blade from the water, so it's good for both ends of the stroke. And once again, it kind of reinforces what we talked about earlier with the 0-100% pressure.
Nice work, guys. We're going, right now we're doing the, we call it Aaron's Husky drill out here, but it's basically all 8, minute on, minute off, so minute full pressure, then you go off. And then we go by 6s, minute on, minute off. And then along the way we add in different drills for specific, specific types of the stroke. We usually go through the boat, the 8 and the 6 section, the first 8 and the first 6 section, steady state without any drills, and then when we roll in to a pause at the handles down on the gunnels, we'll do that on the 5s, we call it, at 5, 10, 15, and 20. And then the next rotation through, with the 8 on, we'll go through maybe some speed bursts, maybe for 5 strokes, take it up 6 to 8 strokes, depending on what part of the season we're at. And then we'll throw in maybe on another cycle of the 8 minute on, we'll throw in some flying starts. When we go to the 6s full pressure, the minute on, we'll probably stay away from any kind of a drill and concentrate more on a steady platform and work more on the entire stroke and getting these guys to lock on nice and strong and finish with try to accelerate their hands into the finish, where they don't need to worry too much about the set of the boat because it's stabilized to a certain point. And it gives them a heavier workload too, so early on in the season it's a good workout to get the guys powered up a little bit and get them into shape. Well, we do this primarily on the quarter fiddle like this to get them locked into that body over position and the blade position. When they cross over the ankles, we want them to be, basically squared up when it's a steady state. And this kind of ingrains in them when they get to that position of the stroke. That's about where the blade should be, and then the final roll up as they go into the stern. We're going to do the same thing, the 8, minute on, minute off, and 6s. But after that first cycle through, we'll just change up the drill a little bit so they stay fresh and they don't get stagnant about what they're doing. We'll throw in some speed bursts. And what we'll do is we'll go for, I'll call for the drill to come in about 2 strokes. They'll take the rate up for 5 strokes. Pull the legs down, swing from the hips, quicken the hands. Pressure goes up now, guys. Pressure goes up with the rate. That'll bring it down nice and easy together. Sit up tall, squeeze the abs. The last half of the drill, we'll do a flying starts, rolling starts, a lot of people call them. And it's basically the same thing. I'll call for the drill in 2. The coxswain guys are up to speed on what we're going to do. And they'll do the same thing as far as in 2 strokes. They'll go to our start. Puddles now, distance between the puddles. Try it. Lengthen out now. We're still under pressure.
So one of the drills we were doing, dead mosquito. The reason we do that, the main thing is what we're trying to do is teach the girls how to hold on to the water the whole time through. Right? So level of difficulty, rowing by sixes with 2 people, setting the boat up, pretty easy. Rowing by sixes or by fours with 4 people gunneling adds a huge level of difficulty where all of a sudden they actually feel their body weight, they feel how they're moving in the front, they feel how they're moving in the back. It doesn't allow them the opportunity to rip at the handle or tear at it, so they really have to focus on finding the water, pressing it out with the legs, and squeezing it all the way back. Today was one of the first times we started it. Eventually throughout the year we'd go a lot more by sixes, eventually by fours, and by the end of the year we're trying to do it by pairs. And as you can imagine, as you go from sixes to fours, pairs pretty hard?
Yeah.
Pairs pretty hard. 5 strokes, top half with a pause, top half, 10 continuous, and then 10 straight arm, and then 10 taking the whole stroke. The reason we do that, initially we're just trying to figure out how to press the boat along. So we do the first 5 just to kind of get that rhythm going. Do the next 10 after they've kind of got the rhythm going, where they're continuing to press it along. Next 5 where they're pressing, thinking about opening the belly up off the thighs to push the body open without jamming the shoulders back. And then the last 10 is just kind of taking the whole thing through. Typically one of the things we talk a lot about is making sure that we're bringing the handle through the knees the whole time, so we're pulling through on just one even plane and trying to carry our power all the way into the bow. Yeah, now just squeezing it up. Just squeeze it through here. So the first 10 strokes, the main thing we're trying to do is just be a little bit lighter with the hands and trying to control the handle or the palm rather than gripping it and trying to rip away at it. So it's just a little bit lighter with the hands. The next 10, they're crossing their hands over, and they're just trying to feel the inside shoulder stay a little bit more relaxed, but also feel how the lat can kind of engage. High school girls, they do a lot of their pulling with just their outside arm. So we're trying to have a connect with both arms here. When they take it bend, the last 10 with both arms, we're trying to see if we can keep the keep the inside shoulder down and stay connected all the way through. Make sense? Yeah, so very nice. Now you start to look very relaxed. That's what we want to see when we're going by all 8. Just relax, let the handle move, pushing it along. You know, we haven't been doing much of the speed out stuff, but again, the trick is making sure to stay connected to the footboards. All right. As long as you're keeping that connection through there and you're constantly squeezing, you're not going to come off the seat. Okay. Yes, there's a way around it. Yes, there's a way around it. If you don't lay back at all and you don't really kind of use your arms, you'll stay on the seat. Great. But you won't learn what we're going for here. Okay? This drill isn't to teach you how to shorten up. It's to teach you how to stay connected all the way through the back end. Make sense? Just pushing it out. Get the legs underneath you and just pushing it out. Yeah, so just half slide here, floating into the half slide plane.
The drills we're going to do today are a series of drills that I use to help the oarsmen learn how to put the blade in the water better at the catch, at the beginning of the stroke, and also to make sure they get a good sense of controlling both the slide and the body coming into the catch, hopefully leading then to a better application of power during the drive. One sequence of drills is a catch drill, which is a fairly common and popular drill.
And let the blade drop before you get fully extended. Just before you get there. You don't have to lift so hard, Dan. It's just to let the blade drop. Square it, and just let the blade... Yeah, it drops itself in very nicely if you let it. Let it drop it itself in. The back of the blade touches the water just lightly.
We do it in a particular sequence where we do the catch drill, then we move from catch and pry, which you'll see with the hesitating only at the finish, and then we move on to more continuous rowing.
And as soon as you drop it in, you just start to push gently off the stretcher without letting the slide stop first. The blade drops, the slide is still compressing, and you push back. Good. Nice and relax at the finish now. Relax. Body steady. Relax grip. Relax grip in the hands.
Another sequence is to row with the inside hand only, the feathering hand, until people get a feel for being really loose and relaxed as they've dropped the blade in.
Try to relax the grip with your thumb during the recovery. Don't squeeze it tightly now. Loosen the grip so you can keep the blade feathered until you're out past the toes. Too early on the roll-up, Breffney. Too early. Relax the grip, Breffney. Relax the grip. Reach out, let the slide come up, then square it.
And then we move from that on to hands together, where they're still getting a pretty long angle at the catch, but with a little bit more control and getting the back more fully engaged. We use this sequence of drills quite frequently at the early part of our workouts, so that the oarsmen are thinking about dropping the blade in properly and then applying the power properly.
Anton, not so early on the roll-up now. Relax grip. Make sure you square and drop it.